Welcome to our discussion today. We're diving deep into a belief system that for millions, the modern state of Israel isn't just another country, but the stage for the end of the world.
Absolutely. It's fascinating and quite intense. What really catches your attention in this narrative?
Well, it's the idea that geopolitical actions aren't only about oil or alliances. They're seen as necessary moves towards Armageddon.
That's wild. So in this view, every conflict becomes a sign of the divine plan unfolding?
Exactly. And it all starts with Christian Zionism and a theological framework called dispensationalism, which breaks down history into specific stages or dispensations that reveal God's plan. It really redefines how people see historical events, right?
Yeah, and I guess what's striking is how Scripture, especially texts like Revelation, is interpreted to validate modern political decisions.
Right. The narrative goes further. It claims that the return of Jews to Israel wasn't just historical happenstance, it's seen as a prophecy fulfilled.
Yeah. And that interpretation became even more popular with the Scofield Reference Bible, which literally put prophetic annotations in the Bible margins. Isn't that something?
Exactly. It's like these marginal notes turned dormant text into an active blueprint for modern events. They made the 1948 creation of Israel look like the start of the end times.
It's fascinating, but also kind of unsettling to think that these theological ideas actually influence real politics in the U.S.
Yes, political leaders often tailor policies based on these beliefs. For instance, the decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem was not merely diplomatic. It was interpreted by many as a step towards fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, right. But here's something that really makes me pause. If these biblical interpretations are off base, what does that mean for geopolitics built on them?
Good point. We have a situation where global policy might be driven by ancient texts from 2,000 years ago. It's like basing modern decisions on a blueprint meant for a completely different world. That's a solid critique.
Exactly. And then you've got the prophecy map getting even more complex. Along with the return of the Jews and Israel's founding, there's talk about the rebuilding of the Third Temple.
Yes. The idea here is that before the apocalypse, a new Jewish temple will arise on the very site of the ancient temple, which is currently the Dome of the Rock. This element really heightens the stakes.
And that part of the prophecy is critical, since certain passages in 2 Thessalonians and Revelation hint at the Antichrist making a move in a temple setting. It's almost as if no temple means no prophecy or something like that.
Right. It becomes a kind of prophecy checkpoint. If the temple isn't rebuilt, then the whole map of events doesn't align, right? It's a required piece of the puzzle.
But then there's the twist with Gog and Magog, isn't there? Those names, which pop up in Ezekiel, get reinterpreted in every possible way.
Exactly. It's like every geopolitical crisis is suddenly, this could be Gog and Magog attacking Israel, whether it's Russia, Iran, or some global coalition.
So, in a sense, any conflict becomes a sign that the prophecy is on track. It's almost like reading your favorite thriller where every twist could be the climax.
That's a vivid way to put it, and it means that for many evangelicals, supporting Israel is a biblical duty rather than just a political stance.
Yeah.
A sacred obligation, really.
But I'm thinking, isn't that a bit extreme? I mean, basing international policy on a narrative that was originally crafted under Roman rule does raise questions.
Absolutely, and that's where historians push back. Most scholarly work suggests that the imagery of Revelation was a coded critique of, Roman tyranny and not a forecast for modern nations.
Right.
It was meant for an audience in crisis back then.
So, there's a clear conflict here. One perspective sees these texts as literal steps toward a divine end, while another views them as symbolic commentary on ancient struggles.
Exactly, and that dichotomy has huge implications. If the modern worldview is influenced by misinterpretations, then policies could be leading us toward unnecessary, even catastrophic outcomes. It's pretty unsettling, right?
For sure. And it's not just abstract. This belief also means that many voters and politicians see war as a necessary and even divinely ordained part of history, rather than something to be avoided.
Right. Wars become signals rather than tragedies. And that mindset can turn global conflicts into something far more dangerous than just political disputes.
And then there's that paradox where these Christian Zionist beliefs, while staunchly pro-Israel, actually predict harsh, even catastrophic outcomes for Jews in the final prophecy.
Yes, it is a real conundrum. Some leaders in the movement even admit that in the end times, most Jews might need to convert to Christianity to avoid destruction.
Yeah.
It's a kind of ideological double-edged sword.
It really makes you think, supporting a state while envisioning its downfall. There's a tension there that's hard to ignore.
Indeed, it's like cheering for a team while secretly betting on its eventual collapse. And that dichotomy influences not just voting, but massive financial and political support in the U.S. for policies benefiting Israel. Huge donations, strategic lobbying, it's all interconnected.
And that brings us back to the original question. Should modern geopolitics really be influenced by interpretations of texts written almost 2,000 years ago?
That's the million-dollar question. On one hand, for believers, it's a clear path guided by divine will. On the other, historians and critics argue that it's an outdated framework, misapplied to contemporary global dynamics.
I mean, if we lean too heavily on these ancient narratives, we risk allowing prophecy to shape and sometimes even justify present-day conflicts.
Exactly, and that's why unpacking these ideas is so important. It's not just about theology or politics separately, but how the two collide in ways that create real-world policies, even policies that could escalate tensions in the Middle East. It's a recipe for explosive outcomes.
And yet, there's an undeniable appeal to having a grand narrative, like the idea that everything is part of a divine plan, even if it's, sometimes misinterpreted.
Yeah, it's like people want to feel that their world fits into a larger story, even if that story carries a heavy and dangerous message. Exactly. It gives a sense of destiny.
All right. So to wrap this up, we're looking at a powerful blend of theology and geopolitics, where millions are driven by biblical prophecies to shape modern policy. And, crucially, there's a stark debate about whether these ancient texts, written under radically different circumstances, should really be the guiding light today.
Precisely. It's a fascinating, if somewhat alarming, dynamic. It shows us the far-reaching power of ideas and underscores the need for critical, nuanced conversations around them. A conversation that isn't just academic, but has real impacts on our world.
Well, this has been an eye-opener. Thanks for delving into these complexities with me. It's a reminder that history, belief, and politics are relentlessly intertwined.
Absolutely. Thanks for the deep dive. Remember, when we look at global events, it's always valuable to ask, whose script are we really following?
Indeed.
And that might just be the unsettling truth behind it all.